Okay.
I have not gotten the recording in progress thing yet, so we will see. Okay, here we go. So I welcome everyone to Science on the Sound, and my name is Emily Bjornskart. I am the lead aquarist here at the MaST Center, and I am joined here with Yin Zhang,
Zhang.
Zhang, perfect. I should have asked that before. And Yin is one of our MaST aquarium volunteers, and he has been with us for about 5 months now. So we will get started. And just before we get going, we will just a kind of place-based reminder. We are here at the MaST Center Aquarium in Redondo Beach. We are located right on the water on a pier, and our MaST Aquarium is open on Saturdays from 10 to 2. And we have approximately 250 fish and invertebrate species found here in Poverty Bay and the greater Salish Sea. This is our MaST Aquarium life support team. I am the lead aquarist. Lily is our part-time aquarist here. And then we have a brand new student worker who just joined our team from Highline. And then we have 3 interns currently, Samantha, Kendra, and Yin. Yin is our only high school intern. And then we have several volunteers who work with our team as well. Our life support team takes care of the entire aquarium, from the smallest little lump sucker to the biggest wolf eel. And we also take care of the plumbing and any kind of maintenance that happens to be needed. So this project will be a presentation about the One Ocean project, which is something that I came up with for my interns as a thought experiment and kind of connecting our local area to the rest of the oceans around the world. Drum and Croaker is a journal for aquarists to share their discoveries and their projects, and different articles that may be written. It's published every year by a variety of aquarists, and it has been going on since the 1950s. So has a wealth of knowledge of the aquarium industry over several decades. This year, there was an article written called Novus Aquas, or New Waters, by Barrett Christie. And in this article, which we'll have a couple quotes with throughout this talk, he talks about how there are certain species that aquarists, us as animal caretakers, may want to display, and there are certain species that may connect with the public more so than we might think. And so the quote that inspired this project for me was that every species has an angle that is fascinating and compelling, and it is up to us to ensure that others see that. So we might not always be displaying the flashiest animals, but we want to make sure that in any situation that we're always connecting our visitors with the local waters and the waters beyond. So with that, I will turn it over to Yin, and I look forward to hearing his presentation. All right. So now you can share your screen.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. So, um, this is the One Ocean Project. So I'll start with just about me. My name's Ian Zhang. I'm a senior at Highland Big Picture High School, and I'm a MaST Center intern as part of the school curriculum. I started interning in January of 2025, going 2 days a week with no background knowledge or experience in marine biology or any related fields. I'm an artist, which had been my main field of interest for a long time, but my interest grew to also include marine biology, zoology, and conservation in general. In the future, I hope to be part of the Youth Ocean Advocates program of Seattle Aquarium this summer. My group interview is actually tomorrow, and to volunteer at SO3 or another aquarium in the 2 years I go to community college pursuing marine biology. I also really like seals, and my most ambitious dream is to be able to work in conservation or rehabilitation for threatened seal species. At my time at the MaST, I've learned how to do routine tasks such as brine shrimp, tank cleaning, water quality testing and changes, and cleaning filter bags. But I've also gotten the opportunity to engage in things like PVC solvent welding, sedation, and parasite removal, multiple necropsies, including one on a harbor seal, and my 2 projects, one of which being my project illustrating the life cycle of moon jellies to be displayed around the moon jelly tank in the aquarium, and the other one being this project. So Emily went over this before, but The One Ocean Project was an idea that Emily got from reading an article from an Aquarius journal, German Croaker, Volume 56, Novus Aquas. My first task in that project was to read the article myself. The passage that stuck with me the most reads as follows. I realize an aquarium collection is like an all-you-can-eat buffet. The visitor can take as much or as little as they want from it, but to maximize your impact, you must have a little something for everyone. The bluegill may not spark that childlike curiosity in them, but their relatives might, as might the role in the ecosystem which supports the species they love to eat or to catch, or even the charismatic species they find so damn cute. You don't need a huge animal or an impossibly rare species to spark curiosity and fascination. You can do it with any species presented well enough. From that, the idea that came about was to encourage me to think about and demonstrate the important connection between marine life in our local waters to life in other parts of the world. I would make a list of 15 to 20 animals I saw in the aquarium and get randomly assigned one. And from there, I'd choose another species from another part of the world that had some kind of connection to the species I was assigned. And from there, I would create two tame concepts for each species. My randomly chosen animal there ended up being the malled star. It didn't seem like the most standout species, so as I was doing my research, I had to really dig for accurate and informative sources. I was searching for common scientific names, distribution and habitat, nutrition and dietary needs, common and possible medical procedures, reproduction, life history in nature, and how that translates to the conceptual aquarium system, and if they've been kept in aquariums, why or why not. From my research, I put this slide together. Uh, so I found the mauled star feeds on bivalve mollusks mostly, but also preys on chitons, gastropod mollusks, snails, brachiopods, barnacles, and tunicates. They're found on rocks and cobbles, occasionally on sand, low intertidal at depths down to 70 meters. They're less susceptible to sea star wasting than other star species, especially ochre stars, which the mauled star is also known as the false ochre star. And I don't know, it has a symbiotic scale worm living on it. And in the top right, I put their distribution range. I struggled a bit when it came to choosing a connected species, probably because I didn't have the most information on the model star, but I ended up choosing the snake lox anemone. So from that, a I put that slide together. It's found in the Eastern Atlantic Ocean and Mediterranean Sea. Um, It feeds on prawns, small fish, and gastropod mollusks. They're found in shallow, cold, salt water in intertidal pools above 10 to 12 meters, often in colonies. The snake lox anemone is also heliotropic. Um, I'm sorry, I'm leaving out information. I chose the snake lox anemone as the connected species to the mollusk star because of their connection being the shared traits of radial symmetry, living in the intertidal zone, and being not exclusively molluscivores. The next step of this project would be to conceptualize two tanks for each species I chose. I'd have to consider tank size and shape, water flow, tank needs, interior decorations, and habitat needs, lighting, special life support considerations. To find out what these requirements would be, I'd have to learn more about the two species and their environment in the wild. Aside from researching online, I also tried to reference off the tanks we already had at our aquarium in other locations. From there, I got a rough idea of what I'd want the tank for the model star to look like. I decided a touch tank with a rocky substrate with sand and seaweed would be suitable. I initially thought that 72 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit would be suitable from one source I found, but that source was referring to the red mold star and not the mold star as I thought at the time. The actual temperature range is 40 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Looking at the touch tanks in our aquarium, I saw that the tanks with sea stars also had species like anemones, sea urchins, and sea cucumbers, so I decided that they would be good tank mates. I made sure to consider what mold stars prey on and what their predators were too. Although I wasn't required to draw the tank, I decided to. I didn't feel the need to put 100% effort or anything, but I had a surprising amount of fun while drawing. I initially thought that having a background in art didn't really mean anything marine biology, but there are ways to make art applicable. And the research I did for the snake lox anemone was surprisingly interesting. The most helpful information I found was um, from tide pooling guides, or rock pooling, as the UK may call it. I initially had the idea of the anemone being a touch tank similar to the mall star because they're both found in the intertidal zone, but I learned that would be a bad idea because snake lox anemone have a sting that causes rashes when touched. The water would be cold, but I wasn't sure about a specific temperature, and there would be multiple anemone as they often live in colonies. Lighting was important as the anemone needs high intensity light levels to sustain the photosymbiotic zooxanthellae in their tissue, which is necessary for long-term survival. One source said 16,000 lux should be enough in Aquaria, so went with that. While researching lighting, it's when I found out that the snake locks anemone are the first known heliotropic animal, which I had no idea was possible in the first place, because heliotropism is when a plant follows the movement of light, like sunflowers. But snake locks anemone, I didn't know when choosing was the first known heliotropic animal, like I said. And lastly, when thinking of tank mates, I used the rock pooling guides as a frame of reference. I decided cushion and cone stars, the leech's spider crab, incognito goby, and bladder rat would work. Potentially other crab species as long as they weren't big enough to be eaten or eat the anemone. Also, this is not to scale, and sea anemones are disgustingly hard to draw. I was fighting for my life, and these are the sources I used. So, as I was finishing up my illustrations of both tanks, I thought back on the Drummond Kroger article and that passage that stuck with me. You don't need a huge animal or an impossibly severe shark rare species to spark curiosity and fascination. You can do it with any species presented well enough. I knew going into this project that I wasn't going to get assigned a flashy or otherwise outwardly charismatic animal, but I came out with not only a newfound appreciation and fascination for the animals I researched, but for the interconnected ecosystems that they reside in. These animals are integral to the health of our local waters, which are directly connected to the waters in the rest of the world. While a map of the Earth will name 5 oceans, Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Arctic, and Antarctic, the one ocean is one continuous body of water divided into those regions. Our ocean is 71% of the planet, but only roughly 2.6% is highly protected, and 99% of living organisms live in the ocean. The ongoing decline in health of the ocean directly affects our health on land. I think advocating for care, for people to care about aspects of nature that may not be outwardly interesting or easily observable is extremely important for conservation. Even just sparking curiosity in a local species, such as a model star, can have an impact. I think this project has taught me a lot from the requirements that go into making a habitable tank, which I had no idea about before either, to the animals in the interconnected ecosystems of our ocean. And I don't have anything else to say.
Awesome. That was great, Yin. Thank you so much for sharing your project and being willing to share your project. This is so cool. So I have a couple questions for you. If anybody watching has any questions, they can put them in the YouTube chat. Otherwise, I will go ahead and ask my few questions. You talked about a couple of the projects that you've worked on at the MaST Center so far. Has there been any projects that were your favorite or that stood out to you as like something that you maybe didn't expect or that you just really liked?
Do the necropsies count as projects?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, I mean, definitely the harbor seal necropsy, because, I mean, I love seals, and even though saying that it sounds weird that I'd want to see a seal, kind of get opened up, it taught me so much, and I came out with, I kind of with this project, a newfound appreciation for seals that, I mean, I already had, but I had no idea about their like anatomy. I've never seen one up close. It was a very unique experience and probably the closest I'll ever get to actually touching a wild seal in an ethical way.
Absolutely. Yeah. The necropsies, definitely the seal, and then a couple of the fish ones that we've done as well. I think really give you, like you said, an appreciation for the animals. And there's no better way to learn than to have that hands-on component. So absolutely. If you had to describe your time at the MaST Center Aquarium in less than 5 words, what would you say?
I didn't expect this.
That's that's great. Hopefully in a positive way.
Yeah, and in a positive way, very.
Fantastic. And so you talked about the two animals for the One Ocean project, especially with the modeled star. It was randomly chosen for you, not one that you picked. Um,
Mhm.
what are your two favorite marine animals, or if you have more than two, that's okay. Whether that's locally here that you've worked with at the aquarium or just generically in the world. It sounds like seals are high on that list.
Uh, Locally, definitely the strawberry anemone. They're great. I love them, and they're very cute. And also lump suckers because of everyone loves them.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I guess internationally, seals, obviously, but I think Sima ring seals, there's only about 500 of them left in the wild, but they're adorable. And it's heartbreaking that there's so little of them left.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm actually not super familiar with a lot of marine mammals, so can you tell us a little bit more about them? Like where are they found?
They're found in, I think, let me see, I'm pretty sure it's some lake around Finland, bordering Finland and Russia. And um, one of the only freshwater seals, um,
Oh,
they, I'm pretty sure they, related to Baikal seals, which are also only freshwater seals. No one really knows for sure how they even manage to get in lakes because, they're not really supposed to do that. But they're very cute. If I can show a picture, they're um
oh yes, that is very cute.
unlike normal ringed seals, they have a lot more melanin in their coats, which I very much appreciate.
Yes, those are adorable. Well, thank you for sharing that because those are very cute, and it really highlights the need to protect them for sure. Awesome. So let's see. I don't have any more questions. It looks like we have a couple questions in the chat. What was the most challenging part of your internship, and then what was the most rewarding?
I think the most challenging part, besides having to walk down an uphill every time, would be honestly, I think working on this project had been surprisingly challenging, while also being rewarding. But of course, the most rewarding thing was that harbor seal necropsy because, I love them. And,
Absolutely.
and with like I said, my goal of wanting to work with seals in the future, that I don't know.
That's great. Yeah. You are an artist. I know this, and you mentioned it. Is with the two conceptual tank illustrations that you did, is there a specific way that you illustrated that? Can you talk a little bit about your process?
So I just the medium was I just used an iPad on Procreate, and I just copied as hard as I could from reference photos because I had never drawn anything like that before. I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, they turned out great. Very very realistic. Another question from the chat. What words of advice would you give to future MaST interns?
Um, do what you're told and you'll have fun, I guess.
That's great.
And actively want to learn and like strive for that because I don't know, it's probably a good idea.
That's great. Yeah, I definitely as a supervisor want people to want to learn, and you have really embodied that in your internship here, and that's been great. Um, all right, if there's no more questions in the chat, we will wrap this up. Thank you again, Yin, so much for sharing your project and for being an intern here at the MaST Center. I know that it has required some long walks up and down hills, but it's very much appreciated. And everybody who tuned in, thank you so much for watching, and we will hear from you next